Here's Sheldon eating the house again. I'm gonna come out here to the battery room. I finished that video this morning, the last one, number 175, I believe it was. It took 16 hours to upload, and it was only 800 meg. The internet out here sucks really bad. We've been waiting for Starlink for a year now, a little bit over a year. Sue got it at her house not long after she ordered it, and we're still waiting here. We have, what do I have in there? I have T-Mobile on a hotspot on a phone, which is the best one that I have. I have a T-Mobile hotspot, which is probably the worst one that I have. Then I have Union Cellular, which uses AT&T towers, and AT&T, anything AT&T gets their fingers into goes to hell in a handbag. You don't want AT&T, it's horrible. We had HughesNet, and that was probably the worst of the bunch. Really bad. But we're waiting for something. I also ordered the T-Mobile family internet, and of course it's on a waiting list. Go figure. But I just want to come out here and say that this is working okay so far. It's been charging all day. This morning when it was cloudy, it was really cloudy out at the beginning of the day, it was still charging at over 20 amps. And the highest I saw it get was 60 amps. So it was charging at 60 amps. And it did that most of the day. So now we're down to 9.43 amps, which is actually higher than what it was before I'd made the adjustments on the inverters. Those are EPFR inverters, and well, they work really well, but I did some adjustments on those, and we're charging at 59 volts and 9.31 amps. So I'm hoping that this battery in particular will come back. I'm going to give it a couple of days. I'll probably check in every day and see what it's doing. It's really windy outside. I wanted to go outside and walk around a little bit, but it's really windy, so it's probably not a good idea. I discovered that I should probably disconnect the laptop at night, because that's got quite a bit of draw. I have been disconnecting the laptop the last couple of nights. Don't want to leave that on. Somebody was asking about the inverter, and this is a 8K, and what happened here was when we were putting it in, it was in the sun, so this whole label just kind of dissolved. And I can't find the manufacturer name on it anywhere, but it's a HP 100, let's see, HP 100 48D, and I looked that up on the internet and I couldn't find it. But it's got a barcode on there. I might look that up in a little bit, see if that'll come up with anything. As you know, the wind turbine is useless. I have a feeling that this is bad. When I disconnect any one of the three lines going to the generator up there, it's an alternator. When I disconnect any of these three, it'll take off like a bat out of hell. So it's using the brake all the time. The electromagnetic brake is on all the time. So it just won't go. Sorry, had a problem a few weeks ago and I've been coughing ever since. This is the controller for the wind turbine, and I might try, it's only like $15 for one of those, so I might try and replace it and see if it takes off. I've been having a lot of fun with this, really. This is the PD80P port, and what this does is it controls, it syncs this inverter and this inverter. These two inverters are synced up. So this one here is 235 watt panels. These are 300 watt panels. So this one's going to do a lot more charging than this one is. This one will actually shut down when this one's at full power. So this one almost never has as much power going out as this one. Of course, that is 300 and that's 235. But that's how that works. And the reason I have so many inverters is you need to have your solar panels within 10% tolerance of each other. All the ratings 10%, and 300 and 250. So there's a big difference in there, and I don't know exactly what would happen if it would burn stuff up. We have 8 panels there at 300 watt and 8 panels there at 235 watt. These two are equal 265 watt panels. There's 2 there and 2 here. This is the west, so on this end of the house we have 2 panels, and on this end of the house we have 2 panels. So in the morning these 2 panels are charging the 12 volt system. This is the 12 volt system. So in the morning this is the east side, so it's picking up all the power and starting to charge the 12 volt system. When it gets overhead, both of them will charge, and as the sun starts to go down, the west one will charge. So it's getting charged all day long, and I've not had a lick of trouble with the 12 volt system, none at all. We got fuses. This is the 12 volt system here. Everything's fused. What else? I don't know what else to tell you. A few weeks ago, I finished putting the plywood up on that wall, and everything, you can see it here. You can see the chicken wire in there. The entire wall all the way around in this room is chicken wire. There's chicken wire in other parts of the building too. But the entire building is chicken wired. That's Faraday cage. If you remember back in the beginning, I had the 12 volt inverter up here. Actually, I think I had the 48 volt inverter too. We had that long 12 volt inverter up there, and it had a great big giant Faraday cage around it. That was for radio interference, because I got my ham radio stuff in there, and you couldn't hear anything through the interference without that Faraday cage. But we were able to get rid of it eventually using better inverters. So, and of course Faraday caging the room. The roof here, it's got the tin foil, what is that stuff, foam board. The doors are not Faraday caged, but they will eventually be. I'm just hoping it will withstand a nuclear blast next month when Biden decides to blow us all up. Anyhow, or somebody, that's all I have for this one here. So things are working a little bit better so far. I'll just have to keep an eye on it and see what it all does. I'm going to plug this light in here. And this battery's foaming away, which it was not doing before. I had no bubbles at all. So that was telling me that battery, this cell, was water. There was no electrolyte in it. Everything else here is working okay. I'm going to give it a couple of days of charge. Then I'll check the electrolyte to see if it's come up any. If it's any better than what it was. Unplug that light. This is my this is a Morgan AC line filter. It keeps some of the noise out of the system. Doesn't work very well, but it does. This is wired directly into the inverter, so all the power goes through this, and it handles about 80 amps. It says 30 amp, but I've had a lot more of that going through it. What else here? I've got chokes on everything to help keep the noise down. There's chokes all over the place. I have more. I need to put some chokes on, oh, which one is it? These two lines and this line. I don't have any real ham radio noise at all. The funny thing that I've noticed, and I'm on a few nets, I don't talk a lot on HF, but I'm on the High Noon net, and I'm on the Beehive Utah net. They can't hear. They're deaf. But they can talk a million miles. If you listen to, oh, what is that, the 7.155, they've talked about power, and they're all running 1,000+ watts, but they can't hear. They're in residential areas with lots of AC buzz and all kinds of other stuff. So it doesn't really do you any good at all to run 1,000,000 watts if you can't hear. I run 100 watts and I can hear everything. Everything that goes on, I can hear it. Occasionally, one of the net directors may be real low in power or something. There's some out there that try and run only about 100 watts. But if you're running a lot of power, it doesn't do you any good at all if you can't hear. So that's kind of a gripe of mine on ham radio. They want to run all kinds of power, but they can't hear. And it's all because of AC line noise and cable TV noise and telephone noise, the internet over power noise and stuff like that. It's all kinds of stuff. Not really the operator's fault at all. It's the noise. But you don't need to run that much power. If a person doesn't have any noise, they can hear you with 10 watts. But that's enough ham radio stuff. Oh, but I'm going to keep an eye on this for a while. It's really windy outside. It's warm, but it's really windy. It's supposed to snow tonight. We will see. But I'm just sitting back waiting. I was supposed to have shocks for the truck today, and they got lost. FedEx. Good old FedEx. It went from, the shocks went from Albuquerque to Phoenix, Arizona. From Phoenix, Arizona, they went to Albuquerque. From Albuquerque, they went into another New Mexico town, which I don't know the name of it. From that New Mexico town, they went to Roswell, and they're lost. So they were supposed to be here today, and they're not coming. But I think what I'm going to do next is work on the living room. I started doing the metal on the walls in there to protect them from Shelvin, who's sitting there eating the floor right now as we speak. I got that metal for that purpose, and I'm going to just put some more of it up, I believe. But that's enough for the moment. I will be back. Maybe. I just wanted to break in here real quick and say I'm making off-grid brownies, and I'm not getting very far very fast, but this takes 4 eggs. Now, a person who's allergic to eggs can eat baked goods made with eggs. But the eggs themselves, like if you're in a restaurant, if you go to a restaurant and there's people around you eating eggs, it smells like dead people covered in dog poop, swimming in Pabst Blue Ribbon, and puking up M&Ms. I mean, it smells bad. So just keep that in mind if you know anybody who's allergic to eggs. And I have put in 4 eggs, and it don't smell good. I can smell an egg a block away, and I love pancakes. I like going to breakfast, but the egg smell just makes me want to vomit. But anyhow, I thought I'd break in there and put that in. One more thing while I'm mixing this up. Living off grid is a dusty situation. So do not buy black appliances. you'll never, ever, ever, ever get them clean. I gotta mix this up really, really well. I had to take the knobs off the stove because Shithead, Sue's Aussie, which is in another video, jumped up here one day while we were gone and lit the burner, and there just happened to be that burner right there. There just happened to be a can opener sitting on the burner, which melted, and it took a really long time to get the melted plastic off the burner. So that's why I have no knobs on the stove. But don't buy black appliances. It's just a dust nightmare. We have the refrigerator over there. It's green, and that gets mighty dusty too. I'm about ready to put this in the pan. Oh, well, maybe not. I forgot to put this in. Duh. Okay. 2 cups of flour. Alright, before I forget something else, back to work. How do I turn this thing on? It's been a while since I did a video. The reason for this one, I've got pretty much everything together the way I want it. The reason for this one is DX Commander Antennas recently asked about the Faraday cage, and I don't recall having done anything really on the Faraday cage. So I think I might have had blips of it here and there, but I really haven't done anything. If you remember in the early videos before we had this inverter up, we had that long inverter right here, and it had a little cage around it. It kind of worked and it kind of didn't work. And I just knocked my camera out of whack there. You see, we've added a exhaust fan. It's a timed exhaust fan to help keep the fumes down in here. It works. But I don't really have, let me get a flashlight. Having a battery problem here, I'll explain that in a minute. I don't really have anything. If you look in there, you can kind of see, you might be able to see the wire. It's a fine wire mesh is what it is. I can't think what it is. Chicken wire, basically. But it's all around it here. I have not done the door. I need to do the door. And I have not done that section right there. I need to take all that stuff out and do that section. The rest of it's done. The roof is all metal. Oh my gosh, there's a giant spider. Gonna have to get Sue in here to get rid of that. I don't want to remember. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna stop the video for a minute and we will get rid of that nuisance. Well, she didn't get him. He's still up there, but at least I can't see him. That's scary. Anyhow, before I put this in the Faraday cage, I could hear the house almost all the way to the road. The road is about 1.5 tenths of a mile from the house. And I could start hearing the house right when I turned onto that road and started this way. On the HF bands on ham radio, I could hear the house. After the cage, I have to be right outside the house in order to hear the equipment. As soon as I pull up to the house, you know, we got the solar panels right there and the truck is right there. I can start hearing the equipment. But yeah, I'm watching for the spider. It got away. Anyhow, I don't have a whole lot on the Faraday cage I can think of. You need to do a pretty full system. if you're going to put in a cage. Here's some of it right there. You can see it. The floor is not caged, but you don't really need to do the floor. And the way I read about Faraday cages, they don't even have to be grounded. You just have to make sure all the wires are interconnected if you're using vents like I did. And it works. You'll be happy with it if you do it. The HF inside the house was nearly unusable because of the equipment. Now, well, this has been several months since I did this, but I can hear stations who absolutely cannot hear me. I'm only running 100 watts. You know, they're running 50 million watts out there, and it all works out. I can put my APRS, that's all the APRS stuff up there. I need to set the clock on the weather station, it's way off. But that's all the APRS system up there. And it works just fine. KJ78Z on the APRS. And that radio actually was not working very well before I put the cage in either. I was getting a lot of interference on that also. But it, let's see, I would say less than 50 yards out that direction from the house behind the garage is where that antenna is. Now, the DX Commander antennas, if you go to his website, they're made in Great Britain. I don't know exactly where. But Sue bought one. She got her call sign 2 days ago. She just became a ham. It's KF. What is it? KF0. I don't remember. KF0KIC. And she's changing it to something else. She found her dad's call sign online. So she's changing it to her dad's call sign. It's a WA call. But I'm really, really happy with the I'm all nervous because there's a spider up there and it's looking at me. I know it is. But anyhow, these two batteries both went bad. This is the 12-volt system, and I'm trying to desolinate them, but the desolinator isn't working. It didn't want it to go to just to desolinate, so it's on charge. But this cell is bad. These two cells were showing bad, but they're coming back. I tested them with the whatever that thing is, hydrometer, several times, and those two cells are coming back. So I may end up going and getting 2 new batteries. I'm looking into the salt batteries, the saltwater batteries. I don't want to go with lithium because if you read the lithium car stuff, you know, it's $20,000-$30,000 for a replacement battery for a car. You're really getting shafted pretty good on lithium car batteries. So I don't want to go that route. The saltwater batteries sound very, very promising. You know, I didn't even finish the part about the DX Commander antennas. Gotta get back to that. I'm nervous about the monster spider. The DX Commander antenna, Sue bought a used at a Hamfest 757 Yaesu, and we put that up at her house, and she found a used DX Commander antenna. The DX Commander antennas are horizontal or vertical dipole. And I'll tell you what, they work good. I've got a little mini spectrum analyzer that I hook up, and on all of the bands that it advertises that it works on, I'm getting a 1.5 to 1 or less SWR. That's 80 meter to 6 meter. And it's really amazing how well it works. I've been able to talk to the Breakfast Club here in New Mexico from Sue's house in Estes Park, Colorado, with just 100 watts, just no problem at all. I was on 80 meters at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's a great antenna, 40 meters, 20 meters, 12 meters, 10 meters, all of them. It really works well. But I just wanted to do a real quick video on the Faraday cage. I'm sorry I don't have more up to show you where I can get to it, but here's a little bit more of the wire you can see sticking out right here. But the whole thing is in wire. Yeah, the saltwater batteries sound very, very promising. They're not a new technology. They've been around for years. Blue Sky Energy, I believe, is the one that I'm looking at to get some saltwater batteries. These batteries, thanks to you-know-who, have gone up in price by 50%. So they're $300 now. And these are the Trojan L16Es. So they're $600 for the batteries right there. You have to take them in and get your cord. Cord's another $50, I think. What I'm going to do, if I get two more, I'll go through all of these and see if there's any others that are low, and I believe there is because my voltage is kind of low. Of course, I'm running 40 amps on the battery charger right now, but I'll go through these and find out which ones are low and put these on a 12 volt system, the low ones, and put the new ones into the 48 volt system. I have two 48 volt battery banks there. I've got the solar panels for the 12 volt system are disconnected right now so that I can charge it off the battery charger. I can see it. I see it. It's up there. It's staring at me. But sorry I can't do a really good video because I'm nervous as hell because there's a monster spider behind me. And it's looking at me as it's saying, I'm going to get you. Oh. But anyhow, that's where we're at. Look at that DX Commander antenna. It's really something else. It's amazing. It's a very small space antenna. You need some radials. You have to have room for some ground radials. And that's about it. You can use 3 meter ground radials up to, I believe, 10 meter ground radials, depending on what you're doing. Yeah, that's all I wanted to do. I just do something real quick on that Faraday cage. You can hear the noise, the sound that I have in here going all the time. The fan on this thing doesn't even get warm. It doesn't get warm at all. We're using 8 amps right now, according to that. Right here, 8 amps. The voltage is down to 50 volts. That thing's using a lot right now. There, it just shut off and dropped to 3.49 amps. The 12 volt system is using 3.2 amps. I don't know what's on the 12 volt system that's using that much. Probably just all the lights. I imagine Sue's probably got lights on in there. The wind, one of the guys out here gave me this, just a new wind controller, and this one works. That cheap wind controller that comes with the windmills, throw it away and buy one of these. Oh, what else? I don't have much else to tell you. I'm looking into the salt batteries, told you about the Faraday cage, told you about the less noise that we're getting. But that's about it. I'm gonna go because I'm scared to death. There's a monster up there. Y'all have fun now. Sheldon's being a pain in the butt.